to invite and Lerita Batadze, member of the board of the Association of Almond and Walnut of Georgia, to sign a memorandum of cooperation. I'm proud today that this is a historical moment and one more cooperation opportunities are created at this event today between Georgia and between Ukraine.
Я дуже дякую нашому.
Thank you to our colleague for signing this memorandum, because it's our second agreement with Georgia, and in such a way we have the whole complex of cooperation with your country. We have already a memorandum on hazelnut, and now we have a new memorandum on walnut. We spoke about this memorandum in Paris before, when we met each other on the exhibition there. And this idea excited us a lot, because the idea of cooperation on the walnut, it will be profitable for both countries. We already have a lot of experience in cooperation on walnut processing, and we already gathered really a lot of experience on that topic. We also have experience on almond production, and yesterday we once again saw that we have a lot of experience in that. Thank you.
I would like to express my gratitude to the Ukrainian party for this initiative, and we have actually signed this memorandum. And what it implies exchange of information and mutual support to address the annual challenges. So what will be the goal both for Georgia and for Ukraine, and we have signed this memorandum, and I'm sure that our cooperation will be very successful. Once again, thank you very much. ეხლა ჩვენ გვაქვს პატარა ტექნიკური შესვენება. უბრალოდ აქ რომ შევცვალოთ მოწყობა და ჩვენ
on Georgian nut sector, on specific nuts. So, now I would like to invite head of the board of Georgian Hazelnut Growers Association, Merab Chitanava, to tell us about hazelnut sector of Georgia. Please.
Good afternoon. My greetings to all of you. I would like to thank Ms. Katerina for inviting me, for giving me opportunity to speak about our sector. I would like to welcome our guests from Ukraine, thank our partners for a big honor of this is really unforgettable gesture and present. I would like to welcome Ms. Taisia, who arrived with based on the invitation. Thank you very much for finding time in such a difficult period and joining us. We will try to make your visit valuable, and I hope that we will be able to provide very interesting information from you. And I would like to wish victory to Ukraine, first of all. Glory to Ukraine. I would like to set some specific points which I will be discussing. So I would like to inform you, first of all, about the outline of my presentation, because we have quite a huge audience here. We have hazelnut growers, our partners from different countries, so everybody has might have interest in different parts of the presentation. But okay, we will speak about hazelnut sector, about the global markets, challenges existing at the global markets, which were already partly described by Mr. Andrei. And we will also focus on the challenges existing in Georgia. And the goal of discussing these challenges, we have two goals in discussing these challenges. First of all, I would like to share our experience with our Ukrainian colleagues in order this might allow them to avoid these challenges or address them timely. Also, there is a very important component which is about our customers, clients, and when we are speaking about Georgia and Georgian hazelnut, we also very often speak about the accompanying risks, which are quality related, and I would like to discuss this, how we are planning to mitigate, reduce these risks, and how we are planning to increase the quality and quantity of our production. This will be mainly the contents of my presentation. So, hazelnut sector in Georgia. Hazelnut orchards in Georgia are mainly built in the western part. However, very strongly and intensively is developing this hazelnut growing in Kakheti region, and actually the number of orchards and the areas covered by them is daily increasing in Kakheti. That's very interesting. I want to stress, we think that we have about 70,000 hectares of hazelnut orchards. However, I would like to welcome Mr. Gela, and I would like to thank Ministry of Agriculture for the special project that is being implemented now. And for the first time in history of Georgia, we are able to map our sector, our hazelnut sector, and to create registry of our hazelnut orchards, which is very important for each of us. As for the varieties, I have divided them in a very simply, but of course there are sub-varieties, but mainly we have Anaklia variety, which is of Georgian origin, and they quite intensively, since company Ferrero entered Georgia, since that Gifon variety was spread very actively in Georgia, and that I personally, 80% of my orchards are built based on the Italian saplings, and we see that daily share of Italian varieties in our orchards is daily increasing. So this is general overview of the sector. Exporting companies, we have quite a lot of exporting companies in Georgia. However, we think actually there are over 40 large processing facilities that are exporting hazelnuts to Europe, Middle East, United States, etc. And we are actually covering all the types of the products. We are producing natural hazelnut, roast, blanched, granulized, milled hazelnut, and actually we are actually fully covering the hazelnut processing cycle. I want also to say that we are having this at a very high standard, and we can compete with the quality of the products, both with Turkish and European producers. The capacity of our processing facilities and of sector is actually twice as big as our production, which means that we have a potential to increase the growth in our country, and because we have capacities to process bigger volumes, and so we are trying somehow to keep up in the production with the processing. So I have said about the main export areas. We have years already exporting to Italy and Germany, but also these main areas are having the biggest share in EU exports. But we also are sending hazelnut to China, to United States, and we are also trying to establish our first business relations, at least at the corporate level, to establish business relations with Ukraine. And I think that we will be able to achieve very interesting results. However, within these recent years, we have exported about 205 tons of hazelnuts to Ukraine. Now I will speak about challenges. Current year, both within the country and also the global market, we had a very difficult season this year. We had a lot of challenges. First of all, due to the excessive precipitation, quantity and quality reduced drastically. We have about 30% decline in production, and I think that this year we'll produce about 40,000 tons only, while last year we produced 55,000 tons, and that's a big challenge. And despite very actively discussing this issue, and despite 5-year unstopped struggle with it, this stink bug still is remaining in Georgia, and it has spread over Kakheti, and we continue to fight with this pest, but unfortunately not with much success so far. However, our vision for this mitigation is becoming better and better, and we are reducing the cost per hectare for fight of this with the stink bug, and I hope that within this year we will try. So we will try to reduce the impact of this pest on the quality of our produce. So we had some decline in the world market, the demand, decline in demand. One of the reasons was the war, because it created certain energy-related risks, and European market stopped accumulating stock, and they are performing just-in-time purchases, and so actually we have half of the export this year in compared to the previous year from Georgia. I want you to understand what we're speaking about. And so, of course, COVID has created bigger problems, and last year problems also were transferred to current year. But I hope that very soon the demand will start growing again during the next seasons, and we hope that we'll be able to recover. We are happy that Ferrero company increased the purchase of hazelnuts in Georgia. This means that share of quality products increases in Georgia, because they are not buying the product of low quality. So you can see here the statistical information position of Georgia in 2020-2021. We were about at the fourth position after Azerbaijan, and you see here the Turkey and Italy are the lead pole positions, let's say. They are leading producers of hazelnut. As for the third, fourth, and fifth positions, they are this is varying by the seasons, depending on the volumes and the quality of the yield. And for instance, Chile is expecting very high quality product, and United States will also grow probably, while Georgia will drop down. But we still hope that we will retain our place in top 5. This is also statistical information which I would like to share with you. This is the demand, the hazelnut consumption, which was growing for the years, but now we are kind of stagnation. we see the reason for this in this war, because war impacted the capacities of people to consume. We've been discussing this very trends of growing the consumption throughout the countries, and I want to share with the small details. Such a large countries like, for instance, China, India, their growth in percentage is very small. However, if we express it in the actual quantity terms, the growth is quite significant, and this allows us to have a hope that in the nearest years this trend that was they had a 5 to 7% growth, annual growth. We hope that this trend will continue in the future, or even will increase. Very often I receive the questions: how do you see the hazelnut sector in the future? What do you think about its development? And they are asking me, is it worth to invest in this sector or not? And my answer is that yes, we have the resources to grow. We have the resources even to increase the exports of hazelnuts from Georgia, and these are the same data, the growth data. If you are interested, I can share this presentation later with you. Also, it's very interesting that in Ukraine, as our colleagues mentioned, we observe very significant growth of areas covered by the hazelnut orchards. Today, one woman asked me here, when you are helping Ukrainians with growing hazelnut production, don't you help your competitors? But believe me, competition in hazelnut is not measured like this. We have our niche. We have food product. It has its own taste properties, and when some client likes Georgian hazelnut, and he will remain your faithful consumer if you continue sustaining the qualities he is asking for. Now I would like to speak about specificities of our sector. We have very significant assistance from the state, from the Ministry of Agriculture, as well as from the donor organizations. For the years, we have created first model of value chain in 2013. There's a farmer, drying facility, processing meal, and then export. So this change should exist in Georgia in order to ensure the decent revenues for everybody and to have this properly functioning system. So our biggest challenge with regards to the sting bag was the lack of the drying and processing infrastructure. This, of course, impacts the quality of a product, and the quality starts deteriorating very soon if it is not properly processed. So also, unfortunately, in the western Georgia, activity of farmers in taking care of the hazelnut orchards is very low, which also deteriorates the quality. And in order to resolve these two problems, we are taking some actions. We are already for several years building the drying facilities, processing facilities, and we are receiving 50% grant from state, and also there is a co-funding of the interest rate in banks. And this year, the state came up with the unprecedented initiative for the hazelnut when they are giving farmers to receive 50% grant to purchase the necessary inputs, for instance, the chemicals and fertilizers. Actually, small Georgian farmers who have their own orchard up to 3 hectares for the next year, they can actually work without any financial cost, and they can grow with the highest quality nuts, which will be actually the breaking point for our development of our industry. The next season for Georgian hazelnut sector shall show what potential can we achieve as a sector, because actually all so the minimum platform necessary for this is already been created. We gave farmers the machinery for applying the pesticides, and also they have the access to the inputs. And this form of subsidization is very interesting. This is actually a stimulation of work and not stimulation of sales, which is often very negative for the sectors based on our own experience. So if you want to show you our figures, we have about 70,000 hectares of these orchards, and our export makes only 40,000 tons, which allows everybody to understand that our production per hectare is very low. When industrial orchards give 2.5-3 tons per hectare, in many cases the average farmer can harvest only 0.5 tons, and so growth potential here is very serious. This is our first target is to achieve 1.5 tons per hectare. It can be achieved very rapidly, just within 2 seasons, if we take care properly of our orchard. This will be very rapidly increasing up to this 1.5 tons. And so based on this calculation, we think that our goal for the nearest future is that Georgia should go up to 100,000 tons in order to become the important player in the international market, and we shall somehow strengthen our position and to create a niche which will be kept for us at the European market, and not only European. I would like to speak about also our friendship format, and together with our Ukrainian partners, we are participating in Odessa in hazelnut orchard building project that we have launched in 2013 together with Max and Gennady. We have conducted many joint activities and created very high quality orchard in Odessa, and we've been exchanging our experience, and we have strengthened our human relations, and we are very proud of our friends, of our partners. We wish them victory, and we are really supporting, I mean, Georgian people is supporting Ukrainian people, and we are very happy that we were able to invite for the first time to Georgia such producers of such a large producers of chocolate like Roshen, Ukrainian company, and we are starting business relations with them. We are trying to produce Ukrainian chocolate with Georgian hazelnut. That's also a very interesting factor. And our meeting is actually one of the starting days for such relations. So welcome everybody, and wish success to our Ukrainian partners. So this is our export data. I thought it would be interesting for you. These are data of 2022, and also you can see that export has reduced, and you see what are the indicators in our relations with Ukraine. We had 525 tons in last year. This year it's a little bit less, but still the season is ahead, and I hope that partners will help us in increasing this figure. We know and we clearly see that the season will be full of challenges, and export will not be as high as we had last year. However, we think that in Georgia carryover will not happen, and for this I think all the exporters shall work for, and this is a very complex process that has very many components, but we still retain a hope, and we think that despite this challenge we'll be able to increase our exports to Europe. And thank you very much for your attention. Wish you a successful conference.
Thank you very much for this introduction. And now I would like to invite representatives of more modern sector from Georgia, and Levan Kariani, who is almond and walnut value chain specialist and drives this development from USAID. Please join us.
Welcome everybody. First of all, I would like to thank all of you organizers for organizing, for inviting me to such an interesting conference, and I also would like to thank a lot the Ukrainian party because they were able to join us in such a difficult situation and share their experience with us. Wish you success and wish you victory. Now I would like to make a brief presentation about the almond industry in Georgia. However, before that, I would like to say about our program. I am representing the agricultural program of USAID. I'm manager of the value chain, and also I would like to stress the role of USAID in development of the sector. During the last couple of years, we are very deeply involved in this nuts industry in Georgia, and especially these commercially new crops like walnut and almonds, and we work both with growers, with the processors. We were organizing various trainings. We had foreign experts. So they were sharing with us experience from California, from Spain. Also, we had some grant programs, and I'm really proud that today my colleagues will also speak about this. About 6 walnut out of 6 walnut processing facilities in Georgia, four have received our grants, and we are having very intensive communication with them, and we are providing technical assistance too. As for the almond industry, we have already mentioned, and my previous speakers also said this. This is a new industry for Georgia, and I hope that for the next 5 or 10 years, when we will be gathering, we will see the figures and data as impressive as we could see in the hazelnut presentation today. And I hope that in the next years, the Georgian almond industry will be as successful at the global market as the hazelnut is today. Now, as for my presentation itself, I will briefly review Georgian almond industry, and once again I would like to stress the role of agricultural development, the rural development agency in this field. So whatever we speak about, will it be walnut or almond, exactly this program was the main provider of main incentives for this sector, and under this program very intensively we are building almond orchards recently. If you look at the statistics, for instance, we can see the areas of these orchards, and of course the walnut orchards are also built daily, but the pace in almond industry is higher, and it's growing much quicker than in the walnuts. Here is only part of the statistics, so I know a few large investors in this sector. I know representatives of the sector who are also planning to build 500, 700 hectares of new orchards in the spring. That's very when I say that Georgian almond industry will take its decent place in the global industry, it might sound ambitious, because now 75% of almonds globally are produced in United States, in California. But if we continue like we are doing now, we might enter into the top 10. Of course, our share might be just 1%, but still, you know, we already become visible, and this 1% will be very important in this industry. I forgot to mention about areas. With the help of the agency, we have built about 3,800 hectares of almond orchards. However, we also have private investors here, purely private investors, and if we take them into account, we have total area of about 6,000 hectares. And also these orchards are built from year to year, and they already start giving the fruits, and I hope that we will have much increased productivity within the nearest years. As for the distribution by the regions, I wanted to show this slide because we have our Ukrainian friends. They shall understand where we are developing orchards. You can see the Georgian map, and mainly almond is developed. Almond industry is developing in eastern Georgia for regions: Kakheti, Shida-Kartli, Kvemo-Kartli, and Tsetam-Tianeti. So this is actually this. You see this belt in which the 90-95% of the orchards are built within this area. So you know that the almond does not like high humidity. Therefore it's more eastern crop, and you can't even see in the western Georgia any almond orchards. So leader is Kakheti, which has 44% of the existing orchards, then Kvemo-Kartli, then Shida-Kartli, and also we see certain areas in Tsetam-Tianeti region too. As for the varieties, I personally am basing on this. Actually, this is the results of the survey of our association that are trying to update the database, and so actually these leading varieties are Supernova, Guara, Soleta, Avihor, Lorraine, and Ferranie. And to see the trends within the recent years, we more frequently see the varieties like Penta, Mardia, Macaco. These are Spanish varieties. And for instance, I have mentioned a few large investments that are planned for the next year. We will have new orchards. The orchards are fully concentrated in on these varieties. When I say new, they are new for Georgia, but in Spain they are using these varieties for quite a long time. So they are news for Georgia, but not globally. Now, if we look at the figures, what is the international trade in almond? I would say that it's a bit early to speak about this because the first commercial and actually significant production we had this year. We will know the statistics better in a couple of years, and actually exports and imports were registered quite rather chaotically up to now, and you can see only import data because actually export is not complying with any logic so far. And even for the imports, we see that kernel import since 2020 increases. However, this is not for the local consumption. About 900 tons of kernel is re-exported. About 500 tons are re-exported to Armenia and Uzbekistan. But that's also a positive trend because we are importing almond here. We are locally processing it. We add the value to this product and then export it to the other countries. But I hope that from the next years, if we look at the international trade statistics, we will see already the export of local varieties, and we'll see how Georgian exports will do on these markets. As for the prices of the imported almonds, these are the average data, and you can see that the prices of kernel and unshelled, actually we might see that one would think that kernel price should be higher. But But you know, the thing is that the import of the unshelled almond is done in very small quantities. Somebody, if they import, for instance, 100 kilos, their expenses might be much higher. Now, as for the kernel is mainly imported from California, and I think that it's quite a realistic price. If we look at this, it's about $3.7 in average. So when I show the statistics to Georgian consumers, they are dissatisfied often, and of course we cannot now say what was the quality of this kernel imported from California for $3.7. Maybe it's not a very high quality, but even without this, the prices are going down at the global market for the last 4 to 5 years, and currently the price the European market is for 4 to 5 euros. And now I would like to say a couple of words about the local production and about the yield of this year. Last year we had about 900 tons of unshelled almond, and this year, based on the survey, and I have communication with the large producers, they were expecting about 2,500 tons of the unshelled almonds. So this 2,500 of unshelled, it means about 800, 900 tons of kernel, and I would say that that's more than enough for the local market. But before we develop the almond consumption culture in Georgia, we know that we are consuming a lot of walnuts because it's used in our cuisine and it's popular among tourists. We do not have high consumption of almonds, so therefore we shall, I think we shall start export of almond, and so therefore I think that it's very doubtful that we these volumes will be demanded at the local level, even those volumes, small volumes, which we have this year. So therefore, in my opinion, the industry shall already start thinking about exporting. As for the processing, currently we have only one processor which is equipped with a modern technology. They've been built this year and they have capacity of processing 1,500 tons per season. Although there are some smaller crushers that are imported for Turkey mainly, these crushing devices that are, but they do not have high outputs and they are breaking down often, and they are also damaging the quality of the kernel. However, also we also have a few smaller facilities. As for the price of crushing, shelling the almond, I have seen it at one of these modern facilities, and so if farmers are interested in this, 1 kilo, shelling 1 kilo of almond makes 1 lari. As for the price of kernel and unshelled, you can see it on the screen. And when I've been surveying the local producers, they told me that unshelled almond is 5.5 lari, on average, plus minus, while the price of kernel was 18 to 20 lari per kilo. And I would say once again that I hope that you won't be angry with me that I would say that this 5.5 lari, to some extent, it's much higher if we compare it with the prices at European and Spanish markets. So in the future, when the market opens and we start exporting almonds to the international markets, I think that these prices might even go down if we look at the current global trends. Because we know what is the global market and the price at the global market, we shall also have the same price, probably, I would say. So I would also like to mention now a few challenges. First one is need of the extension network. We include here education. Education in this field. I would like to repeat once again that we are speaking about almonds and walnuts. We speak about intensive orchards, and we didn't have much experience in this. However, within the last 5 to 6 years, despite many mistakes made, we have learned a lot, both in walnuts production and in almond production. We had many failure stories. However, we have accumulated certain knowledge already, and this was done with the help of donor organizations, with the help of many private large projects, and it was very nice. And I hope that this experience and this knowledge that unfortunately is accumulated partly in companies, partly in donors, it would be good if we would be able to consolidate this knowledge, and if we would be able to create some kind of an extension services, extension centers that would cover the entire sector. And I hope that the association is very actively working on this currently, I know, and I hope that in the association will manage to do this. That's actually their function. They should be providing consolidated information to the sector. Also, since this is the new area of work in Georgia, of course, it's natural that we had some mistakes, some errors. And I speak about mistakes when I discuss the planting materials. For instance, the saplings purchased from local nurseries were of low quality. They dried and actually did not grow, and it's very difficult when the farmer is making such a huge investment. If they will have to replant part of the garden to replace part of the saplings, and if they will have to do this every year, that's of course very huge financial burden, and that's why we can see quite a pessimistic wave in the industry. However, recently we've been working very actively on improving the quality of the seedlings, planting materials, and so that's I think that we have already accumulated quite a knowledge from this standpoint, and it is possible now to do better. Unfortunately, our knowledge is based upon our own mistakes, but still we can do this now. Also, we shall already start thinking about developing the processing industries. I told you that this year we had only one processing plant. I have information that next year they are planning to launch one new large processor. It requires, of course, specific knowledge, specific experience. This can be the experience of the international experts. That will actually help us and help our sector, because this year the almond processing has started, but there were many gaps, deficiencies. Because we didn't have experience, there are problems in management, there are problems in building the processing lines, etc. But I'm sure we will overcome this, and from the next year we will start doing better. And once more, I would like to stress this some kind of unrealistic expectations which we had, especially some few years ago. These unrealistic expectations they had among farmers when they were launching the project, when they were building orchards. They had a little bit high expectations with regards to the price. I can understand these farmers, because 5 to 6 years ago price of almond was growing, and about in 2017 it showed the highest prices within the last 20 years. So maybe that was their intention, but since 2017 the price is coming back down, and therefore this often causes forces farmers to leave the industry, and I'm a member of this on the online platform, and I'm in the many WhatsApp groups, and very often I can see this. You can see advertising that they are selling small orchards, and that's very sad. However, those mistakes that were made years ago because they didn't have sufficient information, today these mistakes become very a heavy financial burden for these farmers, and that's why they are forced to leave this industry. And I would say also a couple of words, and we have to work more on the international markets. As for the walnuts, I'm very happy, and my following speaker will speak, that this year we are selling local walnuts at the local market. Maybe in the future we'll be able also to sell in the local market, but the almond requires to find access to international markets, and we shall consider various opportunities, will it be Europe, Asia, or Turkey, especially within the recent period when I am meeting the representatives of the industries. A few large producers are already considering Turkey, and Turkey is also a very interesting market because they are importing approximately half of their consumption from United States, and we should also take into consideration that for the United States they have additional taxes, and so there are some prospects which we shall think of, which we shall try to find. And I think will it be support from states, support from donors, or the private sector itself can overcome these challenges. And when we come together here in 5 years, I have that we'll be discussing larger and larger figures when we speak about the almond export from Georgia. Thank you very much. This was my presentation, and we can answer the questions later if you will have any.
Thank you very much, Levan. Presentation with prices and trends. And now I would like to invite Lerita Batadze, who is board member of Almond and Walnut Growers of Georgia Association, to speak about walnut sector in this country.
Welcome everybody. I would like to thank each of you as well as the organizers of this great opportunity. Such meetings are of course extremely important, and I would like to thank our colleagues from Ukraine and wish you victory. And now as for to speak about the walnuts, as my colleague Levan already said, about almond, we have different situation in our sector, because walnuts are there is a relatively higher demand, and we have quite a good consumption culture in Georgia for these crops. I would like to show you how walnuts are built, or walnut orchards are built in our country. Mainly we have these orchards in Kakheti. There we have 5,100 hectares in total, and so the distribution is following by the regions. 42% in Kakheti, in Quemo Kartli 25, in Shida Kartli 39, and it goes down a little by little towards the western direction. As for the varieties used here, these are mainly Chandler walnuts that are most demanded at the global level, and the climate that we have here are most suitable for this Chandler. And not every country can produce it, because this variety is very sensitive to the frost, but we have good opportunity of developing this variety, and 95% of our walnuts are exactly of this Chandler variety. As for our production, expected yield So forecasted yield in 2022, we were expecting 2,500 tons. However, we think that this will be much lower, but we'll be able to show you the accurate figures by the end of the December. And so new orchards for the first 7 to 8 years are increasing their yield about 3 times for this period of the first 7 to 8 years. So we expect to go to reach these figures by 2025. This is not very high, but still it's very important to produce it and to compete. And who we are competing with today, mainly for those who are interested in export, all of them try to pay as low price as possible, and they're comparing us with the countries with the countries who are producing a lower quality product, like United States, like Chile, like China, Kazakhstan. Such countries who are producing the lower quality product, their product, of course, costs less. The price is lower, but our goal is this Chandler variety. We want to compete with Europe, whose prices are about 3.5 to 4.5 euros at the current global market. So therefore, our goal is to create high quality product. And we want to compete with Europe, not with the lower class producers like United States or China. As for our price analysis, so what happened this year, if we analyze what happened this year and what was our outcomes this year, we can say that we are quite close to European prices. For instance, what Europe was paying for the high category, high quality product, we have actually the same price at the local market, which is very high motivation for farmers to further increase the volumes. And as for the unshelled walnut, it's about $3.5. And as for the kernel, itself, its price is about $9.5, which is quite interesting and which gives us a hope. As for the productivity and what we are expecting and what challenges we are facing, we think that this year actually maximum, so our product will be sufficient for the internal market only by the end till the end of December, and after that we will have to import again, because these yields we are collecting within the country cannot cover internal demand. So therefore we think that the next 2 years we will still need an import, because the demand is so high. Before pandemic it was 3,000 tons, demand for 3,000 tons, and in the period of pandemic it reduced to 1,100 tons. And based on our data, we need another 2 years to satisfy local demand, and if we have realistic expectations, of course. So therefore the walnut and the kernel are even more interesting and are more prospective, because we have very high local consumption, and we believe that more and more orchards will be built, and the demand for new orchards will also grow. Main challenges we are facing: agronomical part. Actually, we have overcome this difficulty. We already passed the stage. We already have accumulated experience in our country, what to do, how to take care of this. However, it's still one of the challenges. And also the good news is that practically the small farmers, so half hectare, 1 hectare farmers, we don't have them at all. Practically at all, and so our orchards are mainly 5 hectares and above, which allows farmers to be more business oriented. It's not subsistence farming already, and this is business farming, and they are interested in investing in order to increase their productivity. The second challenge is the lack of the processing industry. Currently we have 6 European level processing facilities. We can say that rural development all of them actually were built with the support of Rural Development Agency, as well as with the help of USAID agricultural program. And all 6 processors create high quality product and satisfy all the requirements of European market. So therefore, for the next 5 years, we will not have any problems with processing in our country, especially well, unlike the almond. In almond we have very difficult situation and we need much higher capacities, while in the walnuts we have overcome this difficulty. We already have sufficient capacity for the time being, at least. And also what we want to do now, we want to start exporting, despite the fact that for the next 2 years we are expecting that mainly sales will be directed towards satisfying the local demand, but we are already preparing for the export. For instance, this year we will export to 3 countries. This will be very small volumes, but we just want to create some foundation, some grounds to develop these exports in the future years. As for the processing industry, one of the main challenges here is that we are producing now the raw materials, and the raw is has a very low profit margin. So therefore, our main strategic direction is developing of secondary production, which and we'll have to work with the state on this to develop the secondary production, which means that shelled and unshelled walnuts should become a product with the added value. And with regards to the sales, we also can say that we are dealing with various markets, and with the support of the Rural Development Agency and with the support of Produce in Georgia, we are arranging some exhibitions, and large farmers and large processors are participating in such exhibitions. And we want to establish relations and make the long-term contracts with the various countries. Now, as for the supply, we have already said this, but we want to say that what we are expecting now, we can satisfy the demand within the 5 years on the local market. We were expecting about 2,300 tons for this year, but we will have lower volumes. And we've been planning to export around 200 tons. But internal demand, the domestic demand, is so high that we will be exporting much less than we've been planning, because all the walnuts are mainly sold at the local market. So what is our vision? What our main potential markets are? This is Europe and Gulf countries. This is our main vision. These markets are much more stable. They are higher price markets. That's why we're trying to find our ways to these markets. We are trying to sell to them. As for the quality, our product is no doubt European quality. It's comparable with French, Italian, Spanish products, and we can say that this is of a really high quality product. That actually we can say that in Georgian market we are seeing only Georgian product today. Thank you very much for attention and for giving me opportunity to speak with you.
So at this stage, we will proceed further with panel discussion. And I would like to announce a quick technical break so we change the setup. And please prepare your questions for speakers. So I would like to invite, after the setup change here, Levan Kvariani, Anna Gavhishvili, Gennady Yudin, Maxim Sheiko, and Merab Chitanava. Just a quick, 2 minutes break until we change setup, please. Hello? Kthoft? Mo Britsandit?
Please take your seats here.
I will ask then in both, in Ukrainian and in Georgian. And let's start with the most prominent hazelnut sector. Just quick few moments before we finish setup. So, let's start with the hazelnut sector. So my question will be to Merab, which is за останні 5 років експортна ціна турецького дука.
Over the past 5 years, the prices for Turkish hazelnut was somewhat less than Georgian prices. What is the reason for this difference in price, and what can we do to improve the price situation?
Okay.
ცოტა მინდა და ვისწავლო. ძალიან სწორი
That's quite important question, and also FAO expert. I have missed it in my presentation. FAO experts made very appropriate accents when you've been analyzing the hazelnut sector, and analogically with regards to this price. First, what is very important to see, Georgia has advantage in exports to Europe of hazelnuts, because Turkish and Azeri hazelnuts are taxed by 3.5% import tax in Europe. I mean natural, not roasted. And this gives about 15%, 15 cents of the difference in prices. So if they between Georgian and Turkish hazelnuts. But despite this, Georgian hazelnut is lagging behind, and we have about 10 to 15% price difference within the year. So what is the reason for this? The reason is that the clients who are buying hazelnut, they are, for instance, they need to buy 1,000 tons of hazelnut per year. They need some specific quality of the product. In Georgia, unfortunately, the companies that are producing hazelnut, their product, they do not have their supply chain or supply network. Very often you see a company that is for 20 years in the market, but they don't have their own supply line. And they know that the Georgian hazelnut will have a good quality in June, August, but from the autumn, the quality begins deteriorating. So when they are forming this package or portfolio, of course, it's natural that buyers buy 70 or 80% in Turkey, and only 30% is remaining for countries like Georgia or Azerbaijan. And in this 30%, they are trying to make some savings, because in the long-term contract, the regular supplies, I need such hazelnut, for instance, in May. So actually, we were unable to guarantee this in the previous years, and these risks cause drop in price, because they purchase 70% of the packages, and within this 20-30%, they are. So here are risks. Here are very, very interesting data we have received from FAO. You didn't pay attention to this, but we had a 20% reject rate in 2020, and it's one of the biggest setbacks for when you are. So we know they have purchased, received this, and then they have to return this product back. That's why the prices are going down. That's main problems we have. So in response to this, that's what I already said, and I will make logical connection now. When we start building dryers, when we have begun, when we will create a registry of farmers, when we have high-quality processing facilities, then it will be different. And because I will be able to tell Europeans that, whenever you tell me, I already have this high-quality product in the storage, and whenever I need, whenever I receive order from you, I will take this product and deliver it to you. And so that's this will be response to such problems.
Дуже дякую.
Thank you very much. So to actually sum it up, you need to improve quality, and this will actually improve the reputation of our country, and it will reduce risks for the buyers. Okay. Now I would like to pass the floor to walnut and almond sector into Georgia, and I want to clarify one moment. It was said that it is necessary to sell, first of all, to start exporting almonds, and then the walnuts will follow. But if we'll be able to we'll have this export quality of the products, we'll have, this question is to Levan, and this is my question to Ani. So, if you hear me, about Anna will speak about walnuts, but as for the almond, I would like to say that it's a bit difficult to discuss almond today because actually we have never had export of almond from this country. But what we can say, how can we make our almond competitive at the global market? Ultimately, of course, quality. Quality is number one requirement. However, when we are, for instance, considering as competitors Spain, California, I don't know, it's a little bit difficult to compete in quality with these countries. However, it's possible. Still, I think that it should be the price. The price will make us competitive. For instance, when we speak about almond, the almond price, export price, should be competitive when we compare to the different factors. For instance, if we take Spain, who are the largest producers of almonds in Europe, and if we look at the production costs, operational costs, we in Georgia have an opportunity to save costs in the operations part. Our workforce is much cheaper. We have much better access to water, which is often a very big problem in Spain. Of course, problems exist everywhere. For instance, we have some irrigation problems, etc. But in our case, we can reduce OPEX in compared to Spain or California, for instance, and therefore, with this efficient management would allow us to compete with the European market with the prices. As for processing, if we look at the capex and capital investments, they are approximately the same because these facilities are imported from Europe, processing facilities. But still, we shall more work on the OPEX part, and that's not only in this not problem of only almond industry. In Georgia, agriculture as business in general, they don't understand that it's a business and that it needs more efficient management. For instance, we've been visiting Spain. We had a study tour to Spain, and we've been meeting the Spanish producers, and we were asking the price because we were surprised then. In the beginning of September, the price for the almond kernel made 3.8 euro. However, their attitudes, they have large commercial orchards, of course, but their attitude is, yes, of course, we look at the price, but for us, main thing is to reduce our costs and to become as efficient as possible in the operational part. Afterwards, of course, the markets can change, prices go up and down, but if we will be efficient in our work, we will be able to achieve break-even point in any case and not to lose. But if the price will be higher, we will be able to profit from this. So once again, from the standpoint of almonds, I think, first of all, we shall work on price, and I think we shall ensure competitive prices, especially when we speak about Californian and Spanish almonds. Thank you. Can you hear me? Good afternoon, everybody. As for walnuts, my previous speakers mentioned that Georgian market processing sector is absolutely prepared to process even higher volumes, and there were very many successful processing plants that are fully complying with the international standards, and they are producing products complying with the international specifications. However, this year once again confirmed that we can produce product that is suitable not only for the Georgian market, but also we have exporting potential. And we have actually 6 processing plants in Georgia, but when we are having communication with each other, we understand that it's temporary, and the local market will be satisfied very soon, and we will have to think about export. We are thinking in this direction, I mean processing sector. This year we have left sufficient volumes to make trial exports, so to say, in order to learn how this is done. And after years, when the yield will increase, we will be already prepared for export. As for the quality, we are fully complying with the international standards, and as for the prices, we are not prepared to work at the prices existing right now at the global markets, because we have good alternative and we are using it, and that's right. But after the production increases, I think the market will regulate itself very well, as it happened in other sectors, and will become one of the successful exporters of the walnuts. I mean, Georgia will become. So thank you very much. We shall be efficient, and we have an opportunity to sell this both almonds and walnuts for the export.
України. І
My next question is for Hennady from Ukraine. And my question is, in your presentation you said that a lot of orchards had been planted. And so what is the basis of this large expansion of orchards of almond orchards in Ukraine? We've seen that the growth has slowed down a little bit in the past few years, but what was the motivation for the growth in almond orchards? Thank you for the question. First of all, you were very careful when you read my presentation, which is great. And a primary driver of this large jump in planting orchards was in the past 5 years, starting in 2017. And first of all, during these years, there was a government support program. And this program reduced the investment burden of each planter. As I said already, this support program worked very effectively and operated in 3 areas. 80%, it covered 80% of the planting material, 30% of equipment, and 50% of the nurseries, roughly. And so this lowered the investment burden, the investment threshold for entering the market, and it allowed each planter to create a high-tech orchard from the very beginning. Because when you are investing your own money, you begin counting your money, and you have to figure out how to spend the money. And so this was very important for starting out the process in the beginning years. And so I can say that the state support was very significant. The second factor is that during that period, we noticed that walnuts walnuts are experiencing serious problems in the external market. And we saw this when walnuts were sold in our country for low prices. As I pointed out in my presentation, most of the walnuts were gathered in roadside orchards and in private household orchards, and the quality was not very high. And so we started to produce, we started focusing on brand nuts, in other words, hazelnuts, because in hazelnuts were produced from the beginning in industrial orchards. They could provide a high quality of production, and high quality means high prices, and a guarantee of homogeneous products. And of course, we will continue gathering walnuts from roadside orchards and so forth, but we need to have more industrial orchards. So that is why we moved towards hazelnut production, and we can see that this is producing good results. As for almonds, we began growing almonds in the south. We adapted the varieties to our conditions, to our, I like the phrase that Andrei Yermak used. We have a nut anomaly in Ukraine. We never thought that we would be able to produce so much, but our selectors found varieties that could handle our entire winter, and we often have frosts in the spring and fall as well. And so we've developed our own varieties that grow well in Ukraine. So these are the main steps, the main factors allowing us to move forward with almond production. And so in roughly 5 years, we managed to plant 8 or 9,000 hectares of industrial almond orchards. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, if there are any questions that our audience would like to ask, we'd like to hear them. Hear any questions for our speakers, if there are any. I would like to ask how you see the perspectives of price formation for hazelnut, walnuts, and almonds for each of the countries represented. I'd like to hear from each country. Should I translate it?
So how prices, pricing, how do you see the prospects of the pricing for each of these crops based on your expertise? As I have already mentioned, currently Georgian walnut market is far from the prices existing in the international markets. You know that the three larger producers, these are China, number one, that produces relatively low price product, but take into account that we already have data for 2021, and based on the analysis of 2021, we can say that we have excessive yield, and this trend will continue in the future. So therefore, we shall be prepared for, we shall expect the reduction of prices. What we aren't prepared for this, and currently, actually, we cannot even afford selling at the current prices, not even with the reduced prices. I speak only about walnut. The almond situation is very different from this because we even so crisis existing in Europe, and the reduction of the purchase capacities has increased the demand for the lower price product. For instance, if there was a segment of consumers that would never accept the Chinese product because their organoleptic and visual qualities were much lower, but now situation has changed. Now consumers are trying to save money on everything, including our products, and therefore demand for the lower price products is higher now. So accordingly, we, like other countries, will be actually influenced by the Chinese situation. And despite we want to have our product in the high price category, and also its quality satisfies all the European standards, and it can stand next to the European products. But Chinese situation also had an impact in the European situation, and I think that the market, when the volumes of walnut increase in Georgia, it will regulate itself, and I think we shall expect reduction in prices. So forecast is negative. Maxim?
На цю тему
Maxim, what can you say on this subject? So we're a young part of Europe, and we're just beginning to export. I'm talking about industrial orchards, of course. The fact that we see walnut coming from Ukraine, and it will continue being gathered 90,000 or 100,000 tons in the roadside orchards. Yes, this will continue. And so we see that production will continue in walnuts. But if you followed my presentation, then you saw that over the last couple years, there was actually, the last year, there was an increase in buyer prices because we began exporting variety shipments, special variety shipments, and we will try to supply. We will try to apply our marketing policy. We will try to take advantage of our Chernozem black earth soil. And as we make progress in the world markets, we need to look at where high quality nuts are produced. They're produced where there's high quality soil, Chernozem soil. And so in our price policies, we have included this in our price policy for hazelnut, and we're going to export it next year already. But in this case, our sales system, our export system, will be based on quality. First of all, we have industrial orchards, and today with Maxim, Maxim can tell me if I'm wrong, but we've told our friends, our Italian friends, regarding the export of unshelled walnuts, because we have processing facilities that allow us to compete with European countries. We also have the shortest logistical route to countries that consume these nuts. And so we base our pricing on the wholesale prices that we've seen in Paris, for example. When we were visiting there recently, we see wholesale prices for walnuts and hazelnuts. So we base our pricing on these wholesale prices. We don't plan to lower our prices much for hazelnuts because we are capable of producing high-quality hazelnuts. In other words, you would like to say that there's an opportunity to produce value-added products. Yes, that's the first point. And understand that it's hard to compete as a young player on a mature market. And there are large shipments of walnuts and of hazelnuts that are unshelled, and so we're going to compete based on processing, both on the primary level, the nut kernel and also deeper levels of processing. And so we're basing our plans on this. We're already building regional processing plants for hazelnuts and for walnuts. And with this additional value added, of course, we will raise prices. We're not going to lower them. Thank you. And perhaps you could pass the microphone on to Merab so that he can answer the same question.
ძალიან საინტერესო შეკითხვაა. მადლობა. ტკივნეული თემაა.
That's a very interesting question. Thank you. That's a very painful topic. And as our colleagues said about the almond, the same I can say about the hazelnut. We will pay much higher attention to this pricing issues. That was very appropriate question, actually. No, the pricing can have two forms. The first is cost-based, so you are producing something and you say that it costs you €5, for instance. €5 delivered to Europe, and you want to have some certain profit margin, and on basis of this you sell it. The second pricing system is market-based, when there are alternatives at the global markets, and you want to take your alternative niche within these alternatives. And in case of hazelnuts or walnuts or any other products, we do not have the luxury of you applying the cost-based approach. So therefore, as a hazelnut sector, we are influenced by Turkey, and as I have already mentioned, we have certain limitations, because our pricing mechanism implies that we shall come as close as possible to our parallel markets. I don't call them competitive markets. So if Georgia will be closer to the Turkish market, and if European consumers will be satisfied by the benefits they receive from this free trade, and if 17 cents or 80 cents will be sufficient bonus for them to buy Georgian hazelnuts, this will be very serious achievement for us. But there is also other issue. How much does it cost us to produce the hazelnut? That's a very painful issue for me, which you say that farmers have very high expectations. I am a farmer myself, and I have very high expectations because I invest a lot of resources in development of my plantation, and I want to recover it as soon as possible. However, this always this pricing is very much dependent on the farmers, because production prices are always practically always fixed, and exporters' margin margin of the honest exporter is almost always the same. So if we correct the value chain, and if everybody will know what are their actual margin, and if we will be able to make them understand that this margin should not be subject to very high fluctuations, then of course we will have to pay attention to the farmer positioning, paying attention to what the profit means, for instance. In our case, we have such the farmers might seek for 5 or 10 tetri price margin, which means successful sale for him, but he might not take into account the growth of the plantation, opportunity of growing is of increasing his revenues. Instead of increasing price per kilo, he can think about expanding his production, which will give him much higher revenues. But they don't think about this. So we have to raise their awareness, and but actually we have achieved already success when we have made them understand what is the quality, how to identify various quality problems, etc. But now we want to focus on, when we want to tell them that not to concentrate not on the for instance, we will tell them we'll try to increase the quality because when their outcome is, for instance, 40 tons per hectare, we want them to increase at least by 10% this outcome per hectare, and this will be much more beneficial for them, because actually the costs are more or less the same. If you take care properly of your orchard, then it doesn't change from year to year. So therefore, we do not have luxury of speaking about any pricing, because we are always under the shadow of the Turkish market. However, our savings, our efficiency might be a solution to this problem. And this might help us to increase the production per hectare. And we have the potential of making threefold our production. Also, I missed during the presentation that I want to mention that this year in Georgia we already have a new plant in operation that has opened in the western Georgia that is actually unprecedented volume, and that covers the entire production cycle. Very soon we will have opening ceremony, and we think that we have created kind of a flagship that will lead us to the European market, because its quality is of highest standards, and this is actually the analog of Ferrero production facilities, etc. So this will give us European customers, they will give hope that they will receive appropriate services from the Georgian market. Thank you, Merab. And now, Levan, please answer the same question. Yes, I will try. It's very difficult based on the current situation to speak about the pricing, but if we compare, for instance, if we take walnut, hazelnut, almond is still different. When we speak about walnuts at European market, so it might be imported from China, from Kazakhstan. Or the fact is that Georgian walnut, we can see that its quality is much higher. It can take its niche in European market. So there was a very good example when I was in Cial in Paris at the exhibition. If you would look at the walnut producing countries to there, and then you would go to Georgian stand, you would see there is a very different the appearance, the color. Because yes, quality, Georgia can compete with the quality with the other countries at European market. As for the hazelnut, I understand Mr. Merab's position. We are much depending on Turkey, but still we shall take care of its quality. As for the almonds, I think that almond will be much dependent on the international market, because we are not visible on the global almond market, and accordingly. So of course we shall take care of quality. However, if we compare it with walnuts and hazelnuts, as far as I know, in almond, less attention is paid to the differences between varieties. Unlike hazelnut and walnut, almond is kind of perceived as a more uniform product at the market. So therefore, main works to be performed. Once again, I will repeat, we shall try to reduce our expenses, or we shall start thinking about alternatives. For instance, recently in Georgia, a few large companies started producing organic almond. I can say how reasonable this is. The time will show, because especially this year and last 2 years, reducing purchase capacities, and that, for instance, organic almond is considered a luxury product because it's more expensive than regular almond. However, there are also companies who work on this. They want to find their own niche in the European market. So. Thank you very much. We have another question from the audience. Once again, welcome. Can you speak louder? Once again, welcome everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers of this international conference for such a... I can't hear her, I'm sorry. I can't hear her. I can't hear her. My support, and I want to express my support and respect to my Ukrainian colleagues, and I'm sure, and Georgian people, we are sure that we will have peace and victory very soon. I can't hear this, I'm sorry. I am Lali Goginava, doctor in agricultural sciences. I'm representing Elkana. I'm expert in fruit growing. You know that Elkana is the Association of Biological Farms, and it's for years is working with the hazelnut farmers from Western Georgia, and I would like to say that Elkana has shown its result. Over 500 farmers have a biocertificate today. That's very good. You know that there is a huge demand at the international market from the consumers for the products of such nuts crops. And can you imagine that how good it is when you are eating healthy, wholesome product? That's very good for human health. I would like to ask Mr. Merab. You are the president of the association, and with this regard, do you work with your farmers? I don't know. Somehow they find difficult. The farmers find it difficult to understand. They think that either yield will decrease or they think that their product's price will go up. Well, for years we are working on this, and we know this all very well, and neither prices go up nor the yields go down. So I want to ask you if you work with farmers, and what do you think about this in general? Thank you very much for your attention. Yes, good afternoon. Unfortunately, I know very well what you are doing. You know, I'm really proud of some of your works. We have created very many interesting precedents in hazelnut sector in Western Georgia. We have had many meetings with you, and I would like to thank you for this. As for the approach of attitudes of Hazelnut Producers Association to the bioproduct production, unfortunately, we think that en masse in hazelnut sector producing bioproduct, especially in the Western Georgia, at the current stage will be very problematic, if not impossible at all. So our mission is not to develop some niches. The fundamental goal of our association is improving the livelihoods of our farmers, and we are trying somehow to go in this direction. And the challenges that are facing our sector, we want to see first what we are trying to achieve, which I have already repeated, that in Georgia, in average, to achieve per hectare yield of 1,500 tons. To achieve 100,000 tons of export to the world global markets. This will allow the households to increase their revenues. This will allow us to overcome like a stink bug and other challenges. This will help environment in our hazelnut sector, and afterwards then we can already start thinking about developing these various factors like rainforest certification or some other many productions. But do welcome this, of course. We are trying to support this, but our resources currently are mainly focused on overcoming the fundamental challenges and improving sector as a whole, because it's impossible to have 70,000 hectares of orchards and our exports are just 40,000 tons. We shall increase this, because if we will have another season like this, I think that our sector will be facing very high risks. Thank you. And last question. Revastopuria mass media. First of all, I would like to welcome Ukrainian guests. Thank you very much for joining us. That's a heroism today in such a difficult period. And thank you very much to organizers, especially Ms. Katarina, because when Ms. Katarina is involved in anything, it's always success. Well, I have two questions. First to Mr. Merab. So specifically, where are you building this processing plant? I think. And the second question about walnut. So I didn't understand. What are the problems with regards to the export? Is it too expensive to produce Georgian walnuts or not? The plant is being built in Zugdidi, and within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I can't say how much will it take the construction process, but I believe that they are planning to open it in December, and it will be covered, of course, and we will update on this. And as for the walnuts, I will pass this to them. I will repeat once again with regards to the walnuts. Actually, I will continue Mr. Merab's idea that we will find ourselves with regards to the market-based situation with regards to the walnuts. Actually, yes, all the sectors will come to this point by later or earlier. We are at the early stages of development. We can't even satisfy local demand, and I have just stressed that the market prices will be regulated based on the situation in the global market, and it's of course not depending on Georgian production. Of course, currently Georgian production is unable to influence not only the walnut, but even in the hazelnuts, where Georgia is much more advanced. Georgia cannot have any influence on the prices. But ultimately, we will come to the situation when our prices will be regulated on the basis of the situation on the global markets. But this is conditioned not by local processes, but by the global processes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for interesting questions, interesting answers. One more question. Oh, Kargi. That's very, very last question.
Друзі, в мене є питання до грузинської сторони.
So I have a question for the Georgian representatives, especially Merab, representative of the hazelnut business. Recently, we encounter risks having to do with hazelnut orchard planting because of the stink bug problem. It's created a lot of pathology, and also there are economic risks having to do with the pandemic, the war, and so forth. In Georgia, is there an insurance system for hazelnut, walnut, and almond plantations? This is a very important issue because when you're planning your business, when you're planning a new orchard, you need to keep these considerations in mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that's very interesting part of our work. Of course, it's interesting and necessary component. I will start with the positive answer. Yes, we do have mechanisms for ensuring the yield, and 70% is co-funded by the state. However, we have certain considerations with regards to the improvement of these insurance packages. We are trying to make it better. For instance, this package doesn't include the spring frosts. Also, stink bug is not included in this, and which is actually part of our life and part of our nature, and somebody shall realize that it should be included into insurance. The second important issue is that we have, as I know, there are also several insurance companies now introduce the mechanism for insuring biological assets. It didn't exist before, but so far awareness of our farmers on these packages is very low, and we are trying very intensively every year together with some insurance companies and together with the state authorities to convince farmers that it's better to insure rather than risk. And so whenever I have opportunity, whenever I speak with the insurance companies, I always repeat one thing: nobody can insure farmers from their laziness. One thing that cannot be actually covered is laziness, and the laziness is problem among 80% of our farmers, because if they work properly and if they apply the chemicals properly, if they apply the fertilizers, if they have a proper the irrigation system, then the fluctuations in the yield will be very small among the years, and this can be. But when you don't take care about your orchard at all, and you are just relying on the natural conditions, and you hope that it won't rain and there will be sunny weather, of course, then this is very serious. This can cause very serious harm, and therefore the importance of insurance increases. But in my opinion, the ways out are different. Now, it's not only about improvement of the insurance. Of course, I agree that it's necessary, but I think if the farmers overcome their unwillingness to work, it will be much better, because the hazelnut becomes more and more important by years, and also the state approach to this system increases, and I'm sure that insurance sector will pay higher attention to this sector this year or next year. And again, building such infrastructure like storage warehouses, dryers, etc., will also help insurance companies and financial institutions to. It makes easier for financial institutions to interact with the sector. And for instance, we had a very interesting project on the asset base. This is factoring. We had such a precedent that the farmer can collect the yield, store it in our warehouse, can receive analysis and the quality and a certificate on quantity and quality of the product, and then with the certificate they can go to the bank and take a cheap loan, and so that's we are going forward in many directions. Thank you very much. I would like to add one thing with regards to the almonds and walnuts in general. In 2014, when Rural Development Agency started actively working on insurance program, within this period, almond and walnuts, we didn't have commercial gardens back then, so therefore, the loss assessment systems we were unable to develop them. And then the agency was working on the basis of the Spanish experience, and they developed some loss assessment systems, but this didn't happen for almonds and the walnuts. And in my opinion, the insurance companies shall get interested into these two crops because they are quite fast-growing industries in Georgia. This interest should be, of course, two-sided. Because, for instance, the walnut-producing farmers call me, they want insurance, but actually we do not have product in our market. And also in almond and in walnut, it's very important to have insurance because last year in August there was a hail in Gaheti, and there were some farmers who lost 80% of their yield. But also sector shall be involved, and there might be association to develop appropriate loss assessment system, because actually today loss assessment system is based upon the quantitative indicators. For instance, so many products is fallen, and they calculate it, but it's not reality because walnut can be damaged by hail, it might not be drop on the land, but the fruits themselves can be damaged, and the quality can be deteriorated, and so therefore we shall work in this area, and I think we shall start naturally. There is very high interest from the producers, and I think the insurance companies shall start working in this direction because industries are growing very rapidly. So if there are no further questions, I think we can finish our event. I want to thank all of you who participated, both panelists as well as the participants. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning, and I think it was very interesting half day for us. Also, thank you very much to our hosts, Expo Georgia, who gave us opportunity to arrange this event here. I hope you will also look at the stands, go around, and it will be interesting for you. And of course, our technical team, our interpreters, and of course, Eastwood team who actually tirelessly working for you, and we are waiting for you at our website, our Telegram and YouTube channels. Now I would like to invite you to the lunch that is served at the third pavilion. You can see indicators, road signs that will lead you. However, there is a cafe terrace, and on the opposite side of the street there is not street but the pass, there is the pavilion number 3. And so thank you very much, and see you next time.